What's up, gang? You'll have to forgive me, I hate doing selfie videos, but it's the only way that I'm going to be able to do this video in the format that I want, so I'll just have to suck it up. This video is going to have two parts to it. So the first part, I'm going to show you, the sprint car properly, and then I'm going to show you around this little corner of the workshop that we've been given to store our space here at a very, very friendly price per week. So I'll be forever thankful for that, and I'll get into that a little bit later and how it came to be, etc. Second part of the video is I'm going to be talking about what it cost me to get to this point, because money is often not talked about in motorsport, I've noticed, because wealthier teams don't want to flex on smaller teams, and oftentimes I feel like, which is very much the case for me, smaller teams don't want to put out there how little they have to spend, because it's it might be embarrassing, or they might feel inadequate in comparison, which should not be the case. But I wanted to be a little bit more transparent about it, because I had kind of given up on ever the possibility of ever driving a sprint car. But at 32, this turned into a reality. But the thing was, it came at a risk. I didn't come through, I didn't grow up racing karts and juniors, and I don't come from a wealthy family that could afford to do this for me then or now. I just wanted to share maybe what it's gotten, how I got to this point, hoping that it might reach somebody who's maybe around my age or a little bit older, who might have given up on getting into racing because they thought it was too late, or they're too old, or it's too expensive, which it absolutely is. I'm not taking away from that, but I think you might be surprised at how how little it cost me to get a car and the basic necessities I needed to go to a track and and potentially race. So it won't be a complete breakdown, because I haven't put this thing in on track yet. I don't know what it costs to run it yet, and I'll get into all of that later. So yeah, all right, well, I'll show you around the sprint car a little bit. Alrighty, gang, just taking the hood off. All right, so this is an LS1 sprint car. This is, if I have my info right, if you're watching from the US, this is the kind of engine that you would pull out of a Pontiac GTO or a Camaro or something like this. Here in Australia, they've been used in multiple different Commodores and stuff over the years. I couldn't tell you exactly which ones, because that info is a little bit harder to find than what you would think. And it's either that or my brain just doesn't comprehend it very well. So the LS1 class started up here in WA about 4 years ago, roughly. They were called the 320 sprint cars until last season, when they changed the name to the LS1. And it was created by some folks who wanted to create a little bit more cost-effective form of sprint car racing, and they did exactly that. There's booming fields in the winged and non-winged classes, and that's what we have in here. So this car was actually being ran in the wingless class for the last couple of seasons. Lee Redmond was the driver, but the car belonged to Ian Watts, who I bought the car off. Ian Watts, a bit of a legend in the midgets in the speed cars here in Australia. Beat Tony Stewart once in a fucking speed car race here in Australia. So he's got a nice little photo of that. I'd tell fucking everybody if that happened to me. So one thing that I believe Ian told me is that a lot of the cars in the fields don't run alternators, which he has put on here and hooked it up to a brand new battery, or a near new battery that he's put in here. So that's a good thing to take my mind off of things, is that one thing I don't have to worry about really is my battery dying off, which is going to be a huge help. So yeah, small block V8 with it's injected fuel, and they go and holy shit, does this thing purr when it's fired off. It's crazy. Okay, that's about all I can tell you, because I'm not a mechanically savvy person, so I can't really tell you what's going on here. And I gotta get a new drag link strap for that before it frays off. Yeah, cool, that's about all I can talk about with the engine, because I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's have a look in the cockpit. Alright, getting a quick look in the cockpit here. I'll take that wheel off real quick. Pretty standard cockpit for a sprint car here. Water temperature gauge, oil gauge, tack over there. There's a fuel filter over there. There's a shifter, a 16-inch seat and belts, which a lot of cars do not come with. So I was really thankful to have a seat and a belt already in the car. Ian was nice enough to put a wing valve in there for me. He said that, like, you know, most of the LS1s don't bother having them on there, and because, you know, they just don't do enough to the track to really warrant, like, you're needing one. But look, he chucked it on there anyway, and that was really good of him, really nice of him. So maybe I'll have a play around with that when I actually get onto the track. Brake pedal, gas pedal down there. Yep, that's about it for, actually worth noting, not sure what the case is in the US, but we have to run rock screens here in Australia with the sprint cars, and basically in every car there's got to be a rock screen, so that's just fine. And yeah, cool. Let's have a look at the outside of the car. Alrighty, gang, so that's the car as it stands. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Black front wing, white body, and this big gold wing here, which is a little bit of an eyesore. And I don't know whose idea whoop whoop was, but that's gotta go. And look, the wing's been sitting around for a while. It's, you know, the wrap's peeling off, and I think I might just take a heat gun to this thing and just get, like, you know, the gold wrap off of it, because if you look under here, like, you know, it's all kind of bubbling up, like, you know, where the sliders are. And yeah, I just don't like the gold, so I'd soon rather the wing, if there's black sitting under here, I'd soon rather the wing just be black, like the front, like the top of the front wing here. Yeah, so all of this old bodywork is all of, like, you know, it's Ian's old car. So maybe I'll take a heat gun to this and maybe take some of the stickers off as well. I just want the car to be, like, you know, mine, which I know is going to have to, like, it's going to be a whole new wrap to get it to that point. But if I can do something to make it a little bit more, like, you know, me, then I'll certainly do that. And the stickers do, like, I mean, they look fantastic. Like, you know, maybe I'll track down a photo of this when it was a wingless. It looks badass. 52 was Lee Redmond's number. He was the one who's been driving this car for the last little bit. And yeah, so that's about the exterior of the car. And I'll see if I can get a better, yeah, see, there's a little bit of bubbling happening around here near the sliders. But yeah, cool. It's look, it's a gorgeous looking car, but I know that, like, you know, every race fan dreams of, like, you know, their name, their number, their colors on their car, and I'm very much looking forward to that point. All right, again, getting into our other little spaces here. So my little toolbox right there. I've never really owned tools before, so I went and picked up that little thing. Excuse me, screwdrivers, Allen keys, all of some wrenches and pliers. Tops are all your sockets, and some basic stuff there. And I went and grabbed myself a measuring tape, which I'm going to need. Grabbed a pressure gauge, a funnel. There's my first churn of methanol, which we haven't had to use yet because I think Ian had about 40 liters worth of methanol sitting in the tank as we left. He also gave us a little box of spares here, a set of shocks, some spacers, maybe like a radius arm or something in there. This quad here I picked up off of Marketplace for a casual 700 bucks. So it doesn't have much guts. It's old, it's a little rusty in places, but it is like, you know, it'll push a sprint car in neutral. So that's all I need. Ian, this is probably the most amazing thing that guy could have done for me. Sent me away with what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 or 7 right rear tires. They've all been raced and used to certain degrees, but most of them have a ton of life left on them. And, you know, given that I'm only going to be running practices for, like, you know, probably the next 12 months, I won't have to buy a right rear for at least the next year, which is amazing. Like, that was incredibly good of Ian to do that, and it was a huge help. And there's a left rear there as well. I think there might even be a left rear tucked away in there too, but either way, there's no left rear. The tires that are on the car right now have plenty of life left in them. And there's a Hoosier on there at the right rear at the moment. You can run Hoosiers or American races here. There's Hoosiers on the fronts as well. But yeah, look, there's our little corner, our little loading ramps. There's our little corner that we've got tucked away in this little workshop here. So that kind of concludes the little tour of our little corner. and it's sitting underneath a car hoist right now. But yeah, this is our little operation. So it's definitely not much, but this is like, you know, the version of, like, you know, the sprint car dream that has come to be, and far be it from me to complain about freaking anything. So I still have some things to buy. Everybody talks about the tire shortage. Nobody talks about the tool shortage and parts shortage. Shit is still really hard to get. Like, I can't get a wheel wrench at the moment. I cannot for the life of me find a wheel wrench, secondhand or brand new. Fuel churns, hard to find. Bead breakers, hard to find. Shit is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. So I need those things. Like, I mean, I can't even find a new drag link strap. Like, this thing's a little bit frayed here, and I'm curious. I'm really worried that I'm going to take it to the practice day and they're going to turn me down because it's, like, you know, frayed or whatever. Yeah, it's tough. So yeah, okay, gang, look, I'll actually conclude the little tour here. And I guess now is the part that I think most people will be curious about, and that's how much it cost me to get to this point. So we'll get into it. Alrighty, gang, so we're actually in the sprint car now, for no other reason that there is not a seat or table in this whole workshop, and the steering wheel provides a nice little table for my notepad here. So this is where we're going to get into the finances of starting this whole thing. I had help. I went and got a loan from the bank because I don't have money. I don't come from a wealthy family. I don't come from a racing background. I don't, like, you know, have any ill feelings towards people who have those things. Good for them, but that's not the case for me. But I wanted to do this, and the opportunity came up, and I would soon rather, like, you know, go to my grave saying that I gave it a shot and maybe it didn't last forever, than going to my grave going, fuck, I wish I did that. So that's been my approach to everything. I've found all of my hobbies late in life, and I'm just not prepared to go through it, you know, like, you know, wishing that I had done the thing that I wanted to do. So I'll leave that dollar store philosophy for another time. But okay, I took a loan out from the bank for $30,000, and I had about $4,000 of my own savings. And you know, I'm in a very low tax bracket, so don't be under the impression that I don't that I have a lot of money coming in. So now, about 12 months ago, I started looking into getting into dirt racing. I thought it was going to be through outlaw carts because I thought they were going to be about the most sort of cost-effective way of getting into racing. But then, you know, you look into it a little further, and even an outlaw cart is, you know, a half-decent used one is going to set you back about 15 grand. So, and then that was very much still the plan until a couple of months ago, and then I ran into a guy named Ron Burgess at a car show in which there was dirt cars, like, you know, there was a couple of sprint cars there, some outlaw carts, some dirt modifieds. They were all set up there. I went and had a sticky beak. Ended up meeting Ron, and he, like, you know, talked to me a little bit more in depth about these LS1 sprint cars. And not only am I going to crew for him this summer, but I asked him, I was like, mate, like, you know, what's someone going to ask for one of these, like, ready to race if someone was going to sell? And he said, well, there's actually one for sale in WA at the moment with a $15,000 or $16,000 asking price on it. I'm like, really? So I ended up reaching out to the WA like, you know, speedway community, just via, like, you know, Facebook group, saying, hey, look, I heard there was an LS1 sprint car for sale with a price tag of about 15-16 grand. I don't know who's selling it. Can you put me in touch with them? So the post ended up reaching the guy who was selling it, Ian Watts, and we got in contact. I went to his place to check it out, and I think he was a little surprised, maybe even a little bit concerned when we first met. Like, you know, that someone who had never raced before was trying to buy a sprint car. But yeah, look, by the end of it, he's been incredibly good to me, and I'll always be thankful for all the extra stuff he's given me and the support that he's given me. And it's not ending there. He's actually going to be helping me out a little bit in the early stages too. I'll get into that another time. But so my starting budget for this whole thing was $34,000 basically. So I'm going to try and do a little thing here with some numbers and graphics and this and that. I don't know if it'll work. Let's find out together. So my starting budget was about $34,000. Now, so right off the bat, this sprint car I bought ready to race for $16,000, which I still thank my lucky stars that was even possible. You can rarely find a roller for that much. It's crazy. The way that I'm seeing it, I either got an LS1 engine with a free sprint car wrapped around it, or I got a sprint car with a free LS1 stuffed in it. It's just, I had, luck was on my side with this whole thing. It really has been. I've had to get some lucky breaks for this to happen. So, okay, so that left me with about $18,000 left in my budget. So, and now the next issue I face is that my little buzz box, my little Kia, was not going to tow a sprint car and a quad and all the other stuff that I needed. So I needed to get a new car. So I bought a BA Falcon, a bit of like an ex-tradies ute, a friggin' workhorse. That cost me $5,000 off of just, Facebook Marketplace. So, so now we're down to 13. Okay, so 13 grand remaining. Safety equipment was all brand new. It was the only that when it comes to safety equipment, I knew I was going to buy it brand new. Like I don't think I would have felt comfortable buying safety equipment secondhand. I'm not sure you can absolutely do that, but there's nothing else that's going to be brand new in this whole operation. So, but I wanted that to be new. So my safety equipment cost me $3,600. I bought everything from Revolution Race Gear in Cannington. So that list consists of a helmet, a suit, gloves, boots, Hans device, Hans posts for the helmet, which did not have it on it originally, fireproof balaclava, undergarments, socks, and they were nice enough to throw me a bag in there as well. So $3,600 for the safety equipment. Which brings us down to $9,400. And these are all just to the dollar. I'm not going to go into crazy specifics, but now one thing that's not in the budget for me is a trailer. I'm going to be hiring a trailer to get this thing around, which is, it is inconvenient, but I've got one of two options. I can either bankrupt, quite literally bankrupt myself buying a trailer for $7,000 to $9,000, or I can continue to hire one when I need it and leave that same amount of money for running costs, which is what I've chosen to do because that's the smart move for me right now. So, okay, so the quad that I pointed out before was a marketplace steal for $700. It's beaten up, old, rusty, but it goes, and it's got enough guts to push a sprint car in neutral. So that's all I need. I'm not trying to show up to the track with all the flashy gear. I'm trying to show up with what I need to put the car on the track. That's all. That's my whole operation. This shoestring budget is going to be do everything in the most cost-effective way possible. Okay, so now we're down to about $8,700 left over. I'm going to subtract about $1,000 to $2,000 just for miscellaneous things. So I bought I know I need more, but a singular fuel churn, filled that up with methanol because I wanted to fire it off on the day that we sort of took it home. Bought a tire gauge, some fluids. I've hired a trailer a couple of times to move it around here and there. So yeah, look where and then I kind of topped up that same. I topped it back up by selling some things that I didn't really need anymore. Sold some golf clubs and stuff like that. So now I'm sitting on about $8,000 that's my remaining total but technically it is my running cost, but it's also, that's my savings. That's everything. If something goes wrong with my car, if something goes wrong with me personally, everything falls on that. So I'm going to call it running costs, but really that's that's what I've got to fall back on my life. Now, I do have a very low cost of living, I'll say that, and I'm very lucky to have that. But that right there is, if I would be surprised if I couldn't run this thing with practice shows for the next 6 to 8 months on $8,000. So I think I'm all right there. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many people you ask, no one can put a real number on what it costs to run one of these things. I understand there's a lot of variables in there, and it's hard to put an exact number, but yeah, it doesn't matter how many people you ask. It's really hard to get a definitive answer. Even how much it costs per night is no one seems to be able to give you a number, and that's hard to sort of budget for, you know. So I'm just gonna have to trial and error. I'm gonna fuck around and find out. So we'll do it the hard way, which is just fine. Also worth mentioning, I still need a one-way transmitter, which I know where to find one of those. The local speedway shop has one of those. Some things that are still on my shopping list, I still need, and these are things that are hard to find in shops at the moment. I can't find them secondhand, I can't buy them brand new, it's a nightmare. Can't find a bead breaker, chassis stands are hard to find. I need a wheel wrench, I need a jack, need lots more fuel churns and lots more fuel. They're the things that are on the immediate shopping list. The bead breaker and the wheel wrench and even the chassis stands are really freaking important. I've really got to try and source some of those sooner rather than later. Gotta grab a rattle gun, a jack to prop this thing up. All in all, like once all of that is said and done, I'm probably in the hole for another $1,500 to $2,000 roughly. And yeah, so yeah, look, I've got in or around $7,000 as my running cost / life savings to get me through this first bit. And yeah, look, so my starting budget was $34,000, and I have about $7,000 left of that. I understand I still have some things to buy. So yeah, look, I don't know what I hope to accomplish really by sharing all of this with you, but if nothing else, I hope that someone might see this and be like, tell you what, if that guy did it, like if that guy got into a sprint car and started practicing, like, you know, maybe not racing just yet, but practicing on that budget, and like, you know, sees the breakdown and be like, you know what, I might be able to look into, like, you know, how I could afford that, or maybe I could also, like, you know, go to a bank and like if they absolutely have to, like, yeah, look, this is no, like, you know, triumph story. Like, I'm not trying to influence anybody. I just wanted to share, like, you know, in hopes that someone might see it and go, you know what, I'm not going to give up on it just yet. So that's all I hope to accomplish with this video. So thank you very much for checking it out. It's been a while since I put up a video about the sprint car, because it's been a long way from home. Like, the car was about an hour and a half away from where I lived, and it's now 7 minutes. I'm so excited. I came across this workshop because I put out a post on one of the speedway, like, you know, groups, saying, hey, look, I'd like to stash this car somewhere that's much closer to home. Someone hit me up and offered me this space for an incredibly friendly price, and it just kind of fell into my lap. We only have this space until the end of February next year, but that's 4 months that I get to have the car 7 minutes from home. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Alrighty, gang. I'm sure that I'll think of more stuff that I should have put on the list, you know, at another point. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'll answer them the best way that I can. I don't guarantee that I'll have any answers, but I'll do my absolute best. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much for coming in. There will still be sim racing on this channel, but my attention is obviously very much here in the real world for the meantime. But yeah, I can't come and tinker with a ready to race sprint car every day. Like, you know, that would be silly. So I'll just come and visit it because it makes me happy, and I'm a little bit sad at the moment, so I'll just be around the thing that makes me the happiest at the moment. And I just can't wait to put this thing on a track. Going to get my physical this week. I keep pretty active, so I'm not super concerned about that. I'll register the car for the LS1 club tomorrow, and who knows, with any luck, maybe in about 2 weeks we'll be at a practice night, which would be unreal. It's going to be an emotional night, I'll tell you that. So alrighty, gang, thanks very much for checking it out. Appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.